A galling week for everybody. What have you tried to do this week to sort of just get the chest puffed out a bit and the chins off the floor? Because the players looked a bit down after the game, I must say.
They've got to fight back. I think it's time that the whole club fought back a bit, because this scenario isn't new. I can list numerous games last season where the team have gone 1-0 up, and then messed it up. So that kind of syndrome isn't something new. It's something that's been at the club for quite a while. But I think we as a club we need to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. We need to stand up and fight back and show a bit of personality, a bit of character, a bit of what this club is about, and not moan about everything that can possibly be moaned about, and find all the excuses in the world for why things aren't going right. We're in the building every day, we're on the pitch every day, and we turn up for games, and we need to do better than what we have done, manage games better, but also show turn a corner and start fighting back and stop feeling sorry for ourselves, because that's one thing I can't stand. But I think that goes all the way through the club. Like, yes, last season was difficult. Like, yes, there have been numerous things that haven't quite gone to plan. But there's no point moaning about it. There's no point finding excuses of but it's his fault and it's his fault and it's this and it's that. And I just in a rude way, shut up and get on with it. And we have full control of what we can do, but we're not taking full ownership or full control of that in games either. So I think it's time that as a club we turned the corner. As a team we probably moved on from what has been, and start fighting back. And I think we need everyone for that. And I know it's easy because I know the supporters pay a lot of money and they come to all the games and invest a lot of time and energy into it. But we need them as well, and I really insist on that. We do really need them, and the team needs them. And like I've said, previously, yes, things are difficult and not everything's perfect, and we're conceding too many goals. But there are good things, because a week ago we were talking about probably the best performance of the season against Swansea, where we haven't scored. So it's really fine margins and small little things. But for the moment we're constantly on the wrong end of a bit of luck, a post, a ball crossing the line or not crossing the line, a one-on-one going in or not. But we need to start creating the luck for that to happen. And for that, everyone needs to stick their head down, work, and pull in the same direction. And as long as everyone's not pulling in the same direction, it's not going to work.
Both Mads Roslav and Leo Cienza have said to me in the last week that the players need to, you can't be taking the blame for everything. Players need to look each other in the eye and take responsibility on the pitch, because you can't do that for you. So that's nice backing from them in some way. But what you're saying is time to fight back, but you need the players to do that on the pitch, not off it.
Yeah, I think I've always had a strong and good relationship with everyone. I'll always be honest, and I think this week was probably time for a few ugly and honest truths to be said, and maybe we need to explain what actually fighting back looks like, and what showing a bit of character and standing up in a game, because it's people. I've been questioned about the substitutions that I make or I made at Blackburn. If you look at it on paper, you're bringing on Jack Stevens and Ryan Fraser, who are vastly experienced, who've done this job a million times before. The game was kind of running out of control and we needed to get a bit of a grip on it. So I'll take the responsibility for that going the wrong way and messing up in the end. But we also need to protect the players, because a lot of them have played a lot of football, especially the internationals. I think Shay's probably paid the price for that. He wasn't supposed to play that game. He wasn't supposed to play all of it anyway. We had to. But again, it's not pointing a finger here and there. It's not saying it's his fault, it's this fault, it's the defenders aren't defending properly, or the strikers aren't scoring, or we're not doing this. And it's all of us. It's everyone. It's the whole football club as a whole. And Southampton deserves to be a big and successful football club. But for that to happen, it's, let's not feel sorry for ourselves. Let's not find excuses. Let's not blame other people. Let's just, get behind a football team and push and be positive. Because I know it's easy to be negative. We can all be negative and we can all blame each other. But I think this is, it's gone probably a bit too far in the wrong direction, and something needs to be done.
Having said that about your relationship with the players and everything, when things like that happened last week, people start saying, "Oh, they're not playing for the manager," and all this stuff. What you've just said would fill me with more confidence that they are. Do you feel that the players have got your back?
Yeah, come watch training. Honestly, if we played like we trained, we'd be unbelievable. I'm fine with everyone. I mean, I love the fans singing that. I think it's, you're right. It is not good enough, and we know that. But no, I think we've had conversations, we've had a million meetings, we've had videos, we've had trainings that have been, really good. Unfortunately, we've got, quite a few numbers that are down. So we're going to have to kind of revisit who's in the squad and how we do it. But again, it's not an excuse. We've got a big squad, and that big squad is now being, used and put to or into a test. And we've got to stand up and take a bit of ownership and responsibility. I think that joins, what you're saying of I can't coach every single moment of a game. I can't coach, our two centre halves smashing into each other and then getting a one-on-one. It wasn't planned either. So it's, players need to problem solve as well during the game. We can give them as much information and as much, a clearest picture as possible. And I think we've kind of said that, and I would encourage people taking that initiative and possibly going wrong, but at least there's a bit of action and there's a bit of, something. It's not just reactive, feeling sorry for ourselves and then moaning that something wasn't quite right.
Possibly a consequence, though, of rightly possibly putting faith in so many very young players, because they don't always capture those moments like an older player or experienced player would. You've got a very young defence, 22, 23, 21, you've got the 21, 22 in the middle. They might say, well, we're not at that stage yet of our career, or we can own those moments.
No, I don't believe that. Everyone can and is capable of doing that. And like I said, everyone's played. Every single player apart from Joe and Sam. Everyone's had an opportunity. Everyone's been on the pitch. So it's not a question of pointing at one or the other or saying it's this or it's that. It's a collective moment and something that we need to improve on. But everyone, you can be 28 or 17, if you've got a bit of personality and you care about the club, you care about your career, you care about what's about to happen, then it doesn't really matter how old you are. And it literally is that. It's their career. It's our career, and it needs to matter and it needs to be important. And we've touched on it. We've spoken about it. And now it's time to stand up and fight.
You've talked about still players missing. But obviously last Saturday was exceptional with the illnesses and the injuries. So how are we looking going into this weekend?
Shay Charles is out for a significant amount of time. I think it'll be about 6 or 7 weeks. He's done his hamstring. Sam Edozi's rolled his ankle in training. We got a knock on it in training on Tuesday, and he's probably out for 4 to 5 weeks. Which is annoying because he was coming back into the equation and doing well in training. Roscoe's still out. Ellie Yellett is still out as well, and then Welly is suspended. And then Cam hasn't trained all week because of his ankle, which is also why we bought him off at Blackburn. He's a maybe, but it's looking a bit bleak because he hasn't trained. And then Flynn has also got a knock in training on his knee, so we're trying to speed that up and see if he'll be ready. It's been stretched, it's been tested, but it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Have you had the industrial cleaners in to get rid of all the bacteria that are creating all these illnesses? Because that needs to end.
It was stupid and really frustrating. And like I said, we weren't able to protect players that we wanted to protect or make, the subs that we wanted to do. And I know I've also been asked why, Joe and Matsu and Sam weren't up there with us. We'd already got, 2 extra bodies there, and 3 of them fell out. So it's like we're not going to travel with the whole squad everywhere, because that's not realistic. It was frustrating. Everyone's feeling better. Jay was ill as well, but then managed to sort of get back to his feet and play 60 last night, which we wanted as well. So yeah, we're moving on.
Preston have possibly had the sort of season you would have been hoping to have at this stage by where we are now. What do you make of what they've done under Paul Heckingbottom?
Yeah, they're really good, really pragmatic. They've got a really clear identity, and they're quite, championship experience. They've got a lot of players that have played a lot of games in the champ, and they know exactly what they're doing, and they're really good at it.
Now you said that, I want to pick up on the fact that you haven't got a heck of a lot of players who've played a lot of games in the champ. You've got some, and the club's stated its ambition to go straight back up, but you've got to develop what I would call a developing squad with a lot of young players who are getting better. That doesn't quite marry. You haven't bought a lot of instant plug and play championship players this summer. Are you paying the price for that with the learning curve that you're having to go through?
I don't know if we're paying the price. I think we've we're not where we want to be, that's for sure. I think we've brought in players from abroad, and I think you look at Casper, you look at Leo. They've done exceptionally well, and they're very important to the team. And then we've bought some championship experience, like Finn Azaz, Tom Fellows, who haven't quite hit the ground running, and we need to help them do that. But everyone's at a different stage. Everyone needs more or less time to adapt and to find their feet. But again, it shouldn't be an excuse. It doesn't need to be an excuse. It's a game of football at the end of the day. Yes, the championship has its unique and particular style of football or teams that play in it, and we need to probably be a bit more championship pragmatic and be a bit more realistic in the way we do things. And I think it's as simple as sort of basic as that, and we need to find a way of winning games, and we haven't done that.
If I can, ahead of a busy week before the break, you've obviously gone through pre-season in thinking about a squad in one setup with 4 at the back and 2 whatever, and then you've gone another way because of the way the season started and progressed. Have you used this week to perhaps clear your own mind about, or perhaps we go back to the way we started our thinking, or have you advanced beyond that now? Have we gone past that point?
I've never lost clarity in what we were doing or how we were trying to do it. I think you've got to look at the numbers. We're conceding far too many goals, so we've got to find a way of stopping the ball going in the net one end. Keep creating the chances that we are creating, but being a bit more realistic and pragmatic in both boxes. And I know that sounds amateurish and very basic, but football's not rocket science. And we haven't got, or been getting those details right and those little bits right. And like I said, now it's time to do it. And I don't, we need everyone. Everyone needs to be positive. Everyone needs to push, because it's not by doing anything else that we're going to find the answer. But again, system. I could talk about football and systems and tactics for days and days on end.
Because of you mentioning Tom and Finn and getting more out of them, and I can't help thinking they were bought with an idea of playing 4-2-3-1 or whatever, not a wing back for Fellows, for example.
No, well, it's a hybrid wing back, but yeah, I know what you mean. But we also have to take the team into consideration, and help our defenders, help our keeper, help our midfield, and find the right balance. And again, it's fickle, because we play Swansea and everyone thinks, God, that was really positive. It's just a shame we haven't scored. You go 3 days later and you lose 3-1 through 2 individual mistakes, 1 ridiculous goal, and then the world looks dark and black and everything's bad and everything's negative. So we've got to stay with our head above water and stay sort of conscious and calm about the processes that we're trying to do. I'd love to play 4-2-3-1. That's my favourite system. Trust me, if the time is right on Saturday to do that, then we will do it. And I would always encourage positive football and whatever. But you also have to take every single aspect into consideration, and that's what we're trying to do. So we've never lost clarity on that. We're just trying to get the best out of the team and not out of one or two individuals.
Well, I appreciate the clarity and honesty you've spoken with. I'm sure the fans will. Thank you.
Cheers.
George?